Rain tapped the windshield like impatient fingers. Nora parked across the street and killed the engine. The little house glowed warm. Their house now, she reminded herself. She had baked Ethan's favorite lasagna, wrapped it tight in foil, wrote a note that said, "Heat at 350. Love, Mom." Nothing dramatic. Just dinner and a hug. She climbed the steps, careful with the dish. Music and voices floated from inside. Laughter. Glasses clinking. She smiled. Maybe they were hosting friends. Maybe she could just drop the dish and slip away. She pressed the doorbell. The door opened halfway. Paige stood there in a silk blouse and glossy lipstick, hair perfect like a magazine page. Behind her, two women hovered near the hallway mirror, whispering. Ethan was farther back, frozen in the doorway to the living room, a beer bottle in his hand. "Hi, sweetheart," Nora said to him, lifting the dish. "Brought dinner." Paige didn't look at the food. Her eyes slid over Nora's wet coat, the old scarf, the simple shoes. She lifted her chin. "You can't just show up," she said. "This is not your place." Nora blinked. "I only came to drop this off." Paige's voice sharpened. "You don't belong here. Get out. Immediately." The words landed like a slap. The two women behind Paige stopped smiling. Ethan opened his mouth and then closed it, like someone had pressed mute. The music kept playing, stupid and cheerful. Nora's fingers tightened around the casserole. The thing inside her chest, something soft and loyal, tore a little. She looked at Ethan first. Not at Paige. At her son, the boy she had raised to be kind. He didn't move. He didn't say, "Mom, wait." He just looked ashamed of the mess and did nothing to clean it. "Okay," Nora said. The word felt small but steady. She stepped in just enough to set the dish on the narrow console table by the door. The table held a ceramic bowl with spare keys, each labeled in Paige's neat handwriting. Cleaner, dog walker, garage guest. And one more, Nora, emergency. Nora's eyes rested on the little tag. She had left that key the week they moved in case of a burst pipe or a locked door or a bad day. It had felt like love then, quiet, practical love. She reached out, lifted the tag between two fingers, and slid the key into her coat pocket. Paige noticed. "What are you doing?" "Taking back what's mine," Nora said softly. "You won't need it." She stepped backward into the rain. No scene. No fight. She did not say the dozen things she could have said. The mortgage, the taxes, the papers with her name on them. She did not even look at the two women who had come for wine and gossip and got reality instead. She only looked one more time at Ethan. He stared at the floor. The door closed. The lock clicked. The music went up a notch like nothing had happened. Nora walked to the car, rain sneaking under her collar. She sat a moment with both hands on the wheel. Her breath came in short waves, the kind that happen after a scare on the highway. She didn't cry yet. She drove. Home was quiet. The chair where her husband used to sit was still there, with the dent shaped like his shoulder. She hung her coat, set her keys down, and finally let the tears come. Not loud, just steady. Tears for the way love can be loud when it wants applause and silent, when it should be brave. Tears for the boy in the hallway who forgot how to speak. When the storm in her chest eased, Nora made tea. She warmed her hands around the mug and looked at the wall where a simple cherry cabinet stood. Inside were folders and receipts and a blue binder she hadn't opened in months. She knew every page in it by memory. She did not touch it tonight. She didn't need paper to tell her what was true. Her phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. "Sorry about tonight. Paige is stressed. We'll talk later." She typed and erased 3 replies. Finally she wrote, "Coffee tomorrow. 10. Just us." She sent it and set the phone face down. The apartment sounded like rain and a ticking clock. Nora washed her face and changed into a soft sweater. She walked to the small balcony and watched the street shine under the streetlight. She thought of Ethan as a boy standing in a soccer field, cold and determined, looking at her on the sideline for courage. She had always held up her hand like a flag. "I'm here. Keep going." Tonight she had held up something else, silence. Not because she was weak, but because she was done begging for space in rooms she had opened for others. She touched the key in her pocket and felt its teeth against her fingers. The metal was cool, almost calm. In the dark it felt heavy with meaning. She pictured Paige's face, proud, scared, trained by a life where image meant safety. She pictured Ethan's face, good boy, good man, stuck between peace and truth. She did not hate either of them. She hated the way fear dresses up as pride and then calls it self-protection. A dog barked far away. A siren passed and faded. Nora went inside and turned off the lights. On the kitchen counter she left one thing. A small note she had written and then kept, as if to herself. Respect is love you can measure. She wasn't sure when she had written it. Maybe the day she signed papers. Maybe the day she handed over the first set of keys. She slid the recovered key beside the note, both under the lamp's warm circle. Then she breathed in, slow and long, and let her shoulders drop. Tomorrow would be coffee. Just mother and son. No crowds. No music. Just facts and quiet choices. She turned out the lamp, and the room went soft and dark. The rain slowed. Somewhere in the city, laughter kept spilling from doorways that were not hers. Here, the apartment rested. Here, the clock kept time. And Nora, who had been told she did not belong, stood in her own small kitchen, steady again. She emptied the kettle, wiped the counter, and whispered a promise to the empty room. I will not shout. I will not beg. I will simply decide. Morning light made the street look clean and new. Nora walked to the little cafe on the corner with a blue binder under her arm. She had slept a few hours, not more. Her hands felt steady anyway. The bell over the door rang. Coffee smell. Soft jazz. A table by the window was open. Ethan came in 5 minutes later. He looked older than his age, tired eyes, the same jacket he wore when he was anxious. He hugged his mother, quick and tight, then sat down. I'm sorry about last night, he said. His voice was low. I froze. I know, Nora said. We're not going to fight. We're going to be clear. She placed the binder on the table and opened it. Pages and sleeves. Tabs with labels. She did not raise her voice. She did not lower it either. This, she said, tapping the first page, is the deed. The house is owned by a family LLC in my name. We did that for taxes and safety. This, she turned the page, is the occupancy agreement you signed, month to month, while you and Paige got settled. And these, she slid out the ledger, are the mortgage, tax, and utility payments. Every bill I've covered since move-in. I did it because I love you, and because I wanted you to build savings. Ethan stared at the dates and numbers. I knew you helped, he said. I didn't know it was all of it. It was all of it, Nora said. It was never meant to be forever. It was a bridge. Yesterday, Paige told me I don't belong in that house. You watched it happen. So the bridge ends today. He swallowed. She shouldn't have said that. She gets scared of looking small. Her mom, he stopped, tried again. Her mom taught her to look strong or people will step on you. It's been like that her whole life. I believe you, Nora said. And I'm not punishing childhood. I'm setting adult rules. She slid a single-typed sheet to him. 1 page. 2 choices. Option 1, she said, calm as a math teacher. You and Paige sign a fair lease, starting next month. Market rent, in writing. We go to 1 counseling session together to reset respect. I stop paying bills after this cycle. You take responsibility. We eat dinner on Sundays like a family. Option 2. Ethan asked, I's already sad. I serve a lawful notice to vacate today, Nora said. 60 days. No theatrics. I'll help you find a place you can afford. You will still be my son. But I will not fund a life where I am treated like a stranger. Ethan looked at the window, then back at the paper. Why the notice? Can't I just talk to her first? You can, Nora said. You should. I want you to. But talk without structure becomes smoke. You have 24 hours to bring me a plan with signatures and dates. If you can't, I'll take the formal step. Not to embarrass anyone. To make the edges real. He nodded slowly. Can I take photos? He asked, pointing to the binder. Take the whole copy, Nora said, removing a second set she had made. Keep the original here with me. His phone buzzed on the table. Paige, are you with her? What is she saying? Another message, fast. Do not let her control us. She wouldn't dare do anything. A third, we have people tonight. Don't bring drama. Ethan turned the phone face down. I'm sorry, he said again, but the words sounded different now. Less like a bandage, more like a promise to stop the bleeding. I'm not asking you to choose between your wife and your mother, Nora said. I'm asking you to choose between fog and light. Tears hit his lashes. He blinked them away. I'll talk to her. Tonight. They finished their coffee. They did not hug in a way that solved anything, and that was honest. On the sidewalk, Ethan put the folder in his backpack like it was a fragile machine. I'll call you, he said. I'll be home all day, Nora said. I'll also be busy. When he left, Nora walked 2 blocks to a small office building where her accountant's suite was on the 3rd floor. The accountant wasn't in, But the paralegal next door printed a standard notice template and showed Nora where to fill the blanks. Name of occupant. Property address. Date. Timeline. Rights. No threats. Only law. Thank you, Nora said, paying for the copies. Her voice was steady. She tucked the envelope into her bag and went to the grocery store. She bought tomatoes, a loaf of bread, and a box of herbal tea she knew Paige liked. Not as a gift, but as a door she wanted to keep open just in case. At home, Nora laid the documents on her kitchen table. She wrote dates in neat handwriting. She checked the lease draft line by line. Amount, due date, late fee, no parties after midnight, notice for guests, Sunday dinner at 6. She added one more line at the end, mutual respect. No insults, no shouting, no posts on social media about family matters. It looked odd on paper. It belonged there anyway. Her phone lit up at 5:12 p.m. Ethan. Can we meet you tonight? Then another. Actually, Paige has her friends coming. She says it's not a good time. A third, I'm trying. Nora typed. You have until tomorrow at 10 a.m. to bring me a signed plan. After that, I will proceed. I love you. Be brave. He sent back a single word, okay. Evening fell. Nora cooked a simple soup and ate at the small table, the city orange and blue outside her window. She did not pace. She did not rant. She washed the bowl, dried it, put it back. Then she called a process server listed on a business card from the paralegal's office. I need a notice delivered, she said. Tomorrow early evening. The woman on the phone asked for the address and the name. We can do that, the woman said. We serve, we document, we keep it calm. That's all I want, Nora said. After she hung up, she took the key from her pocket, the one with her name on the little tag, and set it beside the envelope. The metal looked dull in the lamp light, not like power, more like a tool. She wrote a second note and slid it into a plain envelope addressed to Ethan. No matter what happens, you are loved. Choose the path that makes you proud in 10 years. Across town, Ethan stood in the kitchen with the binder open and the music already playing in the living room. We need to talk, he told Paige. Not tonight, she said, eyes on her guest list. We have people coming. This can't wait. She glanced at the pages, at the deed, at the payments in his mother's neat writing. Fear flickered in her eyes, fast and hot. She hid it with a laugh. She's bluffing, she said. She won't do anything. Ethan did not argue. He turned a page and kept reading in silence. He felt his spine get a little straighter, like a string pulled from the top of his head. He did not know yet what would break. Only that truth had a weight, and he was done trying to hold it with one hand. Night deepened. At Nora's apartment, the clock ticked like a calm heartbeat. She packed the lease draft, the notice, a pen that never skipped, and a small courage she had earned one careful action at a time. Tomorrow, she thought. Talk if they want. Paper if they don't. No shouting. No begging. Only light. Evening came dressed like a party. Paige lit candles, adjusted the gold cutlery, set out a tray of olives and tiny crackers. Her phone camera hovered over everything. Perfect, she said to no one, and posted a story with soft music. Ethan wiped the counter twice, though it was clean. The binder was in a drawer, but it felt like it sat between them. Can we talk before they arrive? He asked. Not tonight, she said. We're hosting. Smile first, serious later. The first doorbell was friends. 2 women from her circle and a couple from Ethan's team. Music rose. Laughs bounced off the walls. Paige poured wine and told a story that made her look brave. Ethan nodded at the right places, but his foot tapped under the table. He checked the time. 6:10. The second doorbell cut the noise like a knife. Nora stood on the porch in a neat navy blazer. Beside her was a woman with a slim folder and a work badge on a lanyard. Paige's smile froze. Now is not a good time. It will be quick, Nora said, voice even. Is Ethan home? The woman with the folder stepped forward. Good evening. Ethan Bennett. Ethan came to the door. Yes. She handed him an envelope. You've been served. This is a formal notice regarding occupancy. Please read it. I'll note delivery. Her tone was calm, almost gentle. She clicked a small pen, wrote the time on a form, and nodded once. Have a good night. Then she left, heels quiet on the path. No one spoke. The music kept chirping like it hadn't learned manners. Ethan broke the seal. Paige reached for his arm. What is it? He read. His mouth went dry. It's a notice, he said. 60 days. Or we sign a lease. Starting next month. Market rate. Counseling. Respect. A friend whispered. Wait a lease? For your own house? Nora looked at them, then at Paige, then at Ethan. She didn't raise her voice. The house is held by my family LLC. I paid the bills to give you a start. Yesterday I was told I don't belong here. So I'm ending the arrangement unless we do this properly. Paige laughed once, a small break in a too-tight thread. You came to humiliate me. No, Nora said. I came to make the edges real. I don't gossip. I document. Ethan walked to the speaker and turned the music down. Can everyone give us a minute? He asked, polite but firm. Chairs scraped. The guests stood awkward, then slipped toward the door with mumbled goodbyes. One of Paige's friends lingered, eyes wide. Ethan held the door until the hallway was empty and quiet again. In the stillness, you could hear the fridge hum. The smell of olives turned sour. Paige spun on Nora. You don't get to control my life. I don't want to control your life, Nora said. I want you to be responsible for it. Paige pointed at the envelope. This, in front of my friends. I texted Ethan, Nora said. He had a day to bring a signed plan. He didn't. This was the next right step. It's not about you looking good or bad. It's about where we live and how we live with each other. Ethan set the papers on the counter and faced his wife. She's right. We've been floating. It ends. We sign or we move. Paige's anger flared, then flickered. Fear showed through the cracks. She grabbed the notice and read the lines that mattered. The date, the options, the words lawful and without harassment. The letters steadied like rails on a staircase. She set the paper down as if it might burn the counter. What if we refuse? She asked, but there was no heat in it, only a last habit of pride. Then you move within 60 days, Nora said. I'll even help you pack. I won't hate you. I'll just be done paying to be unwelcome. Ethan swallowed hard. He put his hand on the paper like he was pinning it to the earth. I choose the lease, he said. I choose counseling. I choose respect. Paige looked at him, betrayed by the word respect, as if it had chosen sides. She walked to the patio and opened the sliding door. Cold air moved through the room. Outside, the candles shivered. She stood with her back to them and hugged herself. The glass held her reflection. A woman who had tried to build a life from images and found out paper beats pictures. Nora didn't follow. She turned off the candle nearest the curtains, then waited. Minutes passed. Ethan went outside. Their voices were low, real. No audience now. He spoke in short sentences. I should have stopped it at the door. I didn't. That's on me. Pause. She helped us. We pay now. Or we move. Longer pause. I love you. But I won't live like this. Paige covered her mouth. The mirror threw back a small, shaking nod. When they came in, Nora held out a plain envelope with Ethan's name. This is for you, she said. Open it later. He took it, eyes wet. Thank you for not yelling, he said. I decided last night, Nora answered. No yelling. Only light. Paige looked smaller and more human. If we sign, she said, do you still come on Sundays? Yes, Nora said. If respect sits at the table too. Paige nodded again, slower. Okay. They set a time, tomorrow noon. They would meet at Nora's apartment to sign the lease and schedule one counseling session to start. Not to perform. To repair. Nora picked up the cold lasagna dish from the console, where she'd left it the night before. The foil was dented. This belongs in an oven, she said, a tiny smile trying to live. We can heat it, Ethan offered. Tomorrow, Nora said. After we sign. She put on her coat. At the door, she paused and looked at the bowl of keys. Spaces waited where labels used to be. She touched the rim and left it as it was. Open, ready for new names when people were ready to earn them. Outside, the hallway lights hummed. Nora walked to the elevator with steps that matched her breath. Behind her, the house was quiet. Not defeated. Just thinking. In the car, she let out the breath she had been holding since the doorbell. Her hands were steady on the wheel. She drove home through streets that looked newly honest, like rain had washed off the extra shine. On the counter, she set the dish and the lease. She circled Sunday dinner at 6 with a pen. Then she boiled water for tea and stood by the window while the kettle sang. Tomorrow would be ink and names. After that, choices would start to look like lives. Noon came with clear light, the kind that makes dust honest. Nora set 3 glasses of water on the table and placed the lease in the center with a smooth pen. The lasagna sat in the oven on low, keeping warm. She had folded napkins, not because paper mattered, but because care did. Ethan knocked once and came in. Paige followed, quieter than usual, hair tied back, no camera in her hand. "Thank you for seeing us," Ethan said. His voice was steady. "We're here to sign," Paige added. No make-up words. Just that. They sat. Nora pointed to the lines. Amount. Due date. 1 counseling session to start. Sunday dinner at 6. No shouting. No insults. No posting family matters online. Paige read each word, lips moving. Ethan read faster but did not skip. They signed, one after the other, names making a small bridge across the page. When the last page was done, the air changed like a window opened. Nora slid the copies into a folder for them to take. She turned off the oven and set the warm dish on trivet pads. The smell of tomato and basil curled through the room. "Lunch?" she asked. They ate at the small table. The first few bites were careful. Then they were just people sharing food. "I'm sorry for the door," Paige said finally. She looked at Nora, not the plate. "I was scared of looking small in front of people I barely even like. That doesn't excuse it. I was cruel. I won't be again." "Thank you," Nora said. "I accept it. And I will text before dropping by." Ethan wiped his mouth. "I should have stopped it. I will not freeze again." "I believe you," Nora said. "Belief is a muscle. We build it with small, true things." They cleared the plates together. Paige washed, Ethan dried, Nora stacked. It felt almost like a rehearsal for something better. At the door, Nora gave Ethan the plain envelope from the night before. "Open this later," she said. Not a bill. Not a threat. They left holding the folder between them like it was a shared instrument. The door clicked shut, gentle. 3 days later they met a counselor in a bright office with plants in each corner. No couches, just 3 chairs and a small table with tissues. The counselor set rules. Speak for yourself, not about the other. Say feelings, not labels. No keeping score. Ethan went first. "I avoid conflict until it explodes. I made that hallway scene possible." He said it without drama. Paige spoke next. "I act big when I feel small. I used my fear like a weapon." Then Nora. "I help until I disappear. When I came back, I brought paper. I won't disappear again." No one shouted. No one defended the past with smoke. The counselor gave homework. 1 apology in action, 1 boundary in words, 1 grace given for free. They booked another session 2 weeks out. Sunday came. 6 o'clock. The bell rang, and the smell of roasted chicken entered with them. Paige had made a salad with mint, because she remembered Nora liked it. They ate at Nora's table. They talked about small things. Ethan's project at work, a neighbor's noisy parrot, the slow plumber who finally showed up. The small things mattered. They were proof the big things had not eaten the whole day. Rent posted on the 1st of the month. On time. Ethan sent a screenshot without being asked. Paige took a second freelance client and turned down a dinner that would have been about photos, not friends. At home they argued once about chores and used the timer trick the counselor taught them. 5 minutes each to speak, 2 minutes together to decide. It felt silly. It worked. A week passed. Then 2. Texts were short and kind. The key Nora had taken back lay in her drawer, not as a threat, just as a clear line she no longer stepped over. On the 4th Sunday, Nora arrived a few minutes late to their house with a pie. She rang the bell and waited, heart steady. Ethan opened the door with a real smile. Paige stood by the table, no phone, only plates. "We have something for you," she said, nerves under the words. She handed Nora a small box. Inside was a new key on a silver fob engraved in tiny letters. "You belong." The letters caught the light and held it. Nora's throat closed for a second. She breathed and found her voice. "Thank you," she said. She placed the key on the table, not in her pocket. Emergency only. And Sunday dinners. They ate. They laughed a little. After dessert, Nora cleared her throat. "I have one more thing," she said. She pulled a thin folder from her bag and laid down a bank statement. 2 names on the top line, Ethan Bennett and Paige Carter Bennett. A small balance stared up from the page. Paige frowned, confused. Ethan leaned in. "What is this?" "It's a savings account," Nora said. "I opened it the week you moved in. I kept paying your bills, and I matched myself by saving a little each month. It grew slower than I hoped and faster than nothing. Starting now, every rent payment you make to me will be transferred into this account the same day. At the end of 12 months, if we all keep the respect we signed for, no shouting, no show fights, real choices, I will transfer the account to you completely. Use it for a down payment, for safety, for whatever you both choose. If we break what we promised and don't repair it, I will donate the balance to a housing charity. No punishments. Just truth that moves somewhere good. Silence filled the room, but it wasn't empty. It was full. Ethan's hand found the back of a chair like he needed the world to be steady. Paige covered her mouth with both hands. Her eyes filled, not with the kind of tears that ask for attention, but the kind that come when someone turns on the light and you see a future, not just a fight. You were saving, even when we didn't deserve it? Paige whispered. I was saving because I hoped you would grow into it, Nora said. And because I didn't want to tie help to shame. Help tied to shame rots. Help tied to respect grows people. Paige nodded, once, twice, like the idea had to fit. I don't want the money without the respect, she said, voice shaking. I want both. I want you to sit at our table and not feel like a guest. Ethan looked from the page to his mother. I'll make sure we don't miss a month. And if we stumble, we'll fix it fast. Stumbles are allowed, Nora said. Silence is not. The clock in the kitchen ticked softly. Outside, a neighbor's dog barked, then gave up. The house felt different from the night of the party. Not bigger, not smaller, just honest. The bowl by the door held fewer keys and more meaning. They washed the dishes together. Paige dried the silver fob, polished the words with her thumb, and set it on a hook by the door labeled emergency. She hesitated, then smiled at Nora. It looks right there. It does, Nora said. Before she left, Nora slipped a folded card to Ethan. Open this in 10 years, she joked, and he laughed, because they both knew waiting that long was impossible. Still, he slid it into a drawer gently, as if time could be a kind of savings too. On the drive home, the streetlights made bright coins on the road. Nora felt the day settle inside her like a stone in the right river. Something heavy, something good. In her kitchen, she placed the empty pie tin in the sink and the bank statement in her file. She wrote a line on a small card and set it by the lamp. Respect is love you can measure. The words looked calm now, not hard. Across town, Ethan and Paige stood in their doorway, looking at the key on the hook and the folder on the counter. Let's earn it, Ethan said. Let's build it, Paige answered. And for once, the house did not need music to feel full. It had paper and promises, and a key that finally meant family.